Oh, hello, Advanced Warrior. Welcome to the stream. I'm a professional streamer with definitely no issues going on right now. So I'm doing some replay commentary from my Advance Wars by Web Global League. This map is known as Last Vigil. I'm playing as Kindle, and my opponent chose Rachel. Yeah, I am that Sonya player. I played about 200 Sonya games before I went to Global League. So anyway, this map is very much Kindle favored in Tier 3, so that's why I picked Kindle. And I'm typically a passive player, but this map is very aggression focused. So you're pretty much always going to pick Kindle at Tier 3. I don't see any reason not to. So first things first, I go for my neutral base as always. And I go for my turn 1 property captures because I want money as soon as possible, so I get tanks as soon as possible. My opponent, however, went to go for one of the contested properties. I don't agree with it because you definitely want income right away. It's going to be very fast aggression towards each other. The map is way too small for a long drawn out conflict. And I mean, I do see some reason as to why you might want to go for the contested properties first. If you don't catch them early on, you might not get them at all. But I'd say just go for the money and build your army as soon as possible. So I built my tank on my strong side, the side with 2 bases. I want to pressure his weak side with his HQ. My strong side is definitely where I want to battle because I will have more units there, I will reinforce much faster, and the airport is somewhere closer, like pretty close to the center, so it can reinforce both sides. Let's see. So I'm getting my contested properties now. Uh, so I noticed my opponent went for the comm tower first instead of the city, whereas I went for the city first instead of the comm tower. You're going to get the comm tower for anyway. Like, there's no way your opponent would contest you, especially if if it's going to be a Kindle Mirror matchup. So I would go for the city first to get that income, and then go for the comm tower because your comm tower is yours. It's on your strong side. No one's ever going to try to take it from you, and if they do, you've pretty much already lost the game. He built a tank on its weak side. That's exactly what I want. I want tanks to be on. I want him to fight on the weak side. And he built an artillery. I like artillery, but I'm not sure how good it is on this map. I have used artillery on this map before, but more for uh, more for fun meme games than actual competitive play. So my capture game is way ahead right now. Well, that was because it was my turn. His capture game will catch up later. So he chose to attack me. I'm kind of torn on whether or not I like or dislike that move. You generally don't want to attack Kindle when Kindle's units are on cities because they get plus 40% attack while on urban terrain. On the other hand, that is my weak side. If you can thin out my numbers on the weak side, it's much easier to attack. 1-for-1 infantry when you got 2 bases to my 1 base. Eventually, trading 1-to-1 will lead to a victory. But you will have to follow it up with vehicles, which is not there yet. So I just move forward to defend my properties. Uh, I'm perfectly fine with not getting my contested property because if I can kill units, I will get the numbers advantage, and numbers win way more often than unit value because every one of your units will be useful. More units means you can attack more. And if you notice, the way my tanks are positioned, all of them are on my strong side. All 4 of my tanks are on the left side of the map. Oh, I know that, but I rather go through each every day one by one to share my thought process on how I play. So for next turn, I'm already preparing an attack. My attack is going to come unless my opponent can see it coming. So my opponent sends a tank to my weak side, which I'm not too worried about yet, since I still have plenty of infantry to slow down any advances. I'm going to use she because Rachel is a she, and she left her artillery open in the road, but it's not really open. If I attack that artillery with my tank, then she gets her tank on a city to attack my tank back. But of course, I'm not actually going to attack it. My attack is on the city by the mountain. And if you notice, both my tanks in the forest can attack that city on the property. With a comm tower, it's about a 50-50 chance that I completely kill that tank. But if it doesn't kill that tank, I have infantry that can move into the mountains to attack it, so I go for the attack. I first attack from the plains because it has more defense, then I attack on the other side. I didn't kill it, but I finished it off with my infantry to get that extra damage at the end. So that's almost a free tank pretty much. 2 tanks. I say if it's 2 tanks against 1, just go for it, even if it's on defensive terrain, because if we look around, my opponent has no counterattack ready. Plus, I now get to sit on the property and get a nice shot on her infantry. So I just move more tanks in, and to deal with the tank coming to my weak side, I decide to redirect one of my tanks right. While I do believe in pressuring the strong side, on like pressuring your opponent's weak side, you definitely don't want your weak side to fall either. And I know my infantry can't handle tanks, so I pulled them back to my HQ and just prepare a defensive wall. If you have to choose between losing your units or losing your properties, just lose your properties. If you lose your units, you're losing those properties anyway, so why bother fighting to lose? Just pull back, wait for them to overextend and counterattack when you have the upper hand. So my opponent, with no response on the right side, well, on the left side, hastily shifts stuff to the left because they have to respond to my 3 tanks. And as a matter of fact, she redirected one of the tanks left. Not sure how to feel about that. There isn't really much you can gain by keeping it on the right side, I suppose. So now that I have the upper hand on my strong side, I really thought long and hard about how I should approach the left side now. I really want to kill as much infantry as possible because I want to remove any and all units standing in my way. That's how high aggression works. And like if I have to choose between capturing properties or taking a good shot on it, I'd rather take the good shot on it, is what I'm saying. Doesn't matter if I'm behind on income. If I cause more damage, it's all worth it. So I attack, and I built a battlecopter. I love battlecopters, and I will spam battlecopters if I can. And battlecopters are just all around amazing. So in the end, I should begin. There isn't really much I can continue attacking. I really want to kill that 6 HP infantry, but that will give my opponent first strike on my tank. So what I did was I captured those cities. Well, I'm pretending to capture. I want them to come interrupt me because if they come interrupt me, then I can pull my infantry back and get a nice shot using the urban plus 40% damage on their tanks. So I thought long and hard about where I should position my tanks. I put one of my damaged one in the city. Rachel can't one-shot that tank, so there's no way they can block me even if... And my second tank, I decided to put over by that on that plains tile because it overlaps with my tank to the left, it overlaps with my tank to the right, and my battle copter covers all of it. So it's like an elastic band. If you attack any one tank, the other tanks can easily shift left or right to support and counter attack. And my opponent moved the tank off the right side, so now's the time to fight back. I have more infantry on the right side, which despite it being my weak side. So I'm going to fight where I'm ahead, and I'm pretty much ahead everywhere. So right now I am behind in my property count, but it's fine because I dealt way more damage. Don't suicide your infantry. Your infantry is important. You want to keep them alive. But I'm perfectly fine if my opponent suicides infantry because that means I will get more units than them. Because, again, like I said, my intention was never to capture those properties. It is to bait an attack from my enemy so I can get a first strike on them. I'd rather their expensive units waste their turn attacking and allow my vehicles to attack their vehicles first. So I moved my battlecopter down to attack. I thought it was a pretty safe move. There's a river above my battlecopter so that I won't get blocked in. I do not agree with my opponent's anti-air on the right. My attack was, I've been putting so much pressure on the left. I have 6 tanks on the left side, so of course I'm going to add even more onto my left side because I'm winning there. So I don't know why the anti-air was built on the right side, but it was not a good choice. Now, nobody else would be able to kill that infantry on the mountain except Kindle. Kindle has that plus 40% damage from the property, and that's what allowed me to... I will call it wall breaking because I'm breaking an infantry wall. To kill that infantry on a property, it's because I have a comm tower, it's like a 50-50 chance. I got that 50-50, so now I'm going to sit on it because I want that plus 40% damage. And yeah, like I said, I'm not here to actually capture. I'm just here to get free kills. I moved my infantry back, sent in a tank to kill off that 6 HP infantry, and once again pretend to capture. If my opponent attacks it, I don't really care because I have way too many tanks for them to deal with here. I also built one tank on my weak side because they have an artillery and an anti-air there. That anti-air is probably going to move left to deal with my battlecopter, but I also don't want to. But I'm winning on my right side as well. I think I wanted to capture those properties just to make sure my opponent can never have a comeback. So the rest of the game, Yeah, the battle's already over pretty much. I have way too many tanks, and my opponent just resigns. Yeah, behind on income, but ahead on unit count. I do believe unit count is better. I will show a game where that philosophy actually costed me the game, where I believed so much in unit count that it actually ended up losing me the game because my units couldn't fight effectively after a while. It's not this game, but I'll show it later on.